Hello and welcome back. We are talking about Chapter 13, the closed classes. Here is where we learn about all those parts of speech that are the opposite of the open classes, which is to say, they are not admitting any new members. Each class is relatively small. Some of these words are going to signal to us that, hey, here comes an open class word. Some of them are going to modify open class words. Some will join phrases together. Some are going to appear in more than one closed class or appear in open and closed classes. Exciting. And some perform absolutely no function at all. Pretty thrilling stuff. Here in Chapter 13, we're going to learn a lot about different words, how they work, and how to diagram them. This is going to be crucial for when we hit Chapter 3 and actually start doing some true diagramming. If at any point you need to review what exactly these small parts of speech are that we're dealing with, this is a great place to come and rewatch so that you are completely clear on how everything works. Starting with just about everybody's favorite part of speech, determiners. Pretty exciting. There are lots of different kinds of determiners. They come in many, many flavors. We already know about articles, the and an and a. We know about possessive nouns as determiners, Nate's, Violet's, my dogs. Demonstrative determiners like this, these, that, those. Numbers, 1, 2, 3, all the way up as far as they go. Possessive determiners like my, your, his, her, its, our, their, whose, things like that. Quantifiers telling us how many, such as several or fewer or any, less, things like that. Pro tip, if it is a possessive noun functioning as a determiner, it might have its own determiner. In the example above of my dog, just for example, my dogs, dogs is a possessive noun functioning as a determiner. It has a determiner of its own, my. My is a possessive determiner for that possessive noun. Cool, huh? Another example would be Kimmy's sister's friend. Let's take a look at what this would look like were we to diagram it. I just went with Kimmy's sister's shoes look uncomfortable. Here's the diagram. Sisters is a possessive noun functioning as the determiner for shoes. So we've diagrammed it right underneath shoes. But Kimmy's is a possessive noun functioning as a determiner for sisters, not for shoes. So we've diagrammed it coming off of sisters instead. Pretty exciting. Let's talk a little bit more about determiners and how they work. If we are dealing with a noun from the lower left-hand branch of our hierarchy of nouns, you remember this diagram from Chapter 12. If we are dealing with a singular countable noun, for example, it almost always has a determiner. So if our noun is monkey, we would say the monkey is acrobatic, not monkey is acrobatic. We wouldn't say that. But as always, there are exceptions. For example, car is a singular countable noun, but we could absolutely say the fastest kind of car if we wanted to. We wouldn't have to say the fastest kind of the car or a car if we didn't want to. We wouldn't have to. So always exceptions. Determiners just are kind of wacky. They're kind of wacky in how they work. For some reason, the indefinite article a changes the meaning of certain quantifiers, few and little, for example, when they come together. So for example, the sentence, I have few vices, actually means the opposite of I have a few vices. Just the addition of the indefinite article a really changes the meaning of that quantifier. I have little difficulty talking to boys is completely different than I have a little difficulty talking to boys. So here, the determiner, the indefinite article, completely changes the meaning of the sentence. You may have noticed by now that there can be more than one determiner preceding any given noun. And it turns out that this is because determiners are actually a series of slots. We might like to think about them as the expanded determiner formula. So any given determiner could have a predeterminer and even a post-determiner. Common predeterminers would be things like a, both, half, these. Then you might have the determiner itself. And then you could have a post-determiner. Ordinal numbers, cardinal numbers, these are very common post-determiners. For example, I've underlined the pre- and post-determiners in these sentences, and I've put the determiner itself in all caps. All the bulldogs licked Zach on the face. All is the predeterminer, the is the determiner itself, bulldogs, of course, is the head word. The first 5 minutes are free. After that, it's $2.99 per minute. The is our determiner itself, and first and 5 are both functioning as post-determiners. The next 3 callers will win a free hat. 2 post-determiners here as well. Both these teams deserve to win. These is the determiner, both is the predeterminer. Half the squad wanted to ditch the pom-poms. Half is our predeterminer, the is our determiner. On the previous slide, when we had the post-determiner and predeterminer in parentheses, that meant they were optional. We certainly don't have to have pre- and post-determiners, and in fact, we've seen situations where we don't have to have a determiner at all. Proper nouns are a great example. But we can line up a whole string of determiners, predeterminers, and post-determiners, so don't feel like if you have a determiner, that's it, you're done. There could be more than one. Also, guess what? There's this thing called the phrasal quantifier. This is kind of cool. It means that the whole idiomatic phrase goes on one line as if it were a single quantifier. So on our list of determiners earlier, we had quantifiers signaling certain quantities to us, how many. When we have a phrasal quantifier, it's an idiomatic phrase that's functioning as a quantifier. For example, Julie has a great many admirers. A great many. The whole thing is a phrasal quantifier. Or, a large number of bulldogs have a lot of wrinkles. A large number of and a lot of are phrasal quantifiers. They're idiomatic phrases functioning as entire quantifiers unto themselves. What does this mean in terms of diagramming? I'm so glad you asked. Check it out. Instead of putting each word on its own line underneath the head word, since it's a phrasal quantifier functioning as a phrase unto itself, we put the whole idiomatic thing on one line together, as we see here. That's it for now. Butch says, determiners can be a little tricky, so make sure you come back to review this slideshow whenever you have questions. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you next time.